Hello students, in the part second we have studied about the Fayol's principles of management. He had given 14 principles of management. Now we are going to learn Taylor's principles of management. Taylor, father of scientific management. Frederick Winslow Taylor, an American mechanical engineer, belongs to an era of industrial revolution and mass production. While working, he learned about the factory conditions at grassroots level and used his experiences to reshape the factory system of production to improve industrial efficiency. Taylor believed that business activities cannot be handled by using hit and trial methods. Instead, work needs to be analyzed scientifically before taking any decisions. Therefore, he felt that management must be studied as a discipline to achieve required qualification and training. According to Taylor, a business can be successful only if there is partnership of cooperation between management and its workforce. Taylor is known for his functional foremanship, time study, motion study, and piece rate based system. Taylor has given are 4 principles of scientific management. The first one is science, not rule of thumb. Taylor opposed the rule of thumb and suggests that a business can achieve maximum efficiency only if there is scientific inquiry followed by standardized methods developed through study and analysis. The business enterprises may investigate traditional methods and unify the best practices to develop standard methods to be followed throughout the organization. Scientifically planned and managed activities not only save human energy and time but also reduce wastages. Second principle of scientific management is harmony, not discord. Taylor emphasized that fact that for any business to be successful, management and workers must work in complete harmony. Conflicts or difference of opinion amongst management and workers affects productivity and efficiency. Therefore, it is important that there is complete openness among management and employees. Management should be willing to share all the relevant information and accept ideas given by employees. On the other hand, workers also must have positive attitude and openness to accept the changes for the good or for the company. The third principles of scientific management is cooperation, not individualism. Though everyone in the organization works as an individual, but all efforts must be unified towards achievement of organizational goals. Management must not maintain distance from employees, rather employees must be part of management through their representatives. Management must work towards employees' growth and development, must have confidence in its employees and seek their suggestions before taking crucial decisions for the company. Employees also must make all efforts to make the betterment of the company. Keep company information confidential and must not make unreasonable demands. Harmony among management and employees leads to cooperation and better understanding. The fourth principle of scientific management is development of each and every person to his or her greatest efficiency and prosperity. Industrial efficiency largely depends on the personal competencies of the workforce. For successful implementation of scientific methods of production, it is a must that workforce has suitable mental, physical and intellectual capabilities. Taylor was of the view that business must follow scientific approach while selecting workforce and provide them appropriate training. This will ensure greatest efficiency, productivity and prosperity for both employees and the organization. Students, you all must have realized from above discussion that Taylor was of strong belief that for maximum efficiency and productivity, a business must follow scientific methods of production. Taylor used scientific approach to fulfill his responsibilities in different positions he held in various organizations. He used his experiences to develop scientific techniques. Let us now study the scientific techniques developed by Taylor. The first one is functional foremanship. Students, in the previous chapter, we have learned that the operational level of management is responsible for effective and efficient implementation of plans. The operational level managers are responsible for planning the production process, achieving desired production targets and controlling floor activities to minimize wastage and cost. Thus, Taylor concentrated on improving the performance at operational level in a factory setup. He identified the qualities required in a good supervisor and realized that it would be difficult to find all the qualities in one individual. Therefore, he advocated the separation of planning and execution and developed the technique of functional foremanship, which is actually an extension of division of labor and specialization. Under functional foremanship, Taylor suggests that planning and production in the factory should be managed by separate in charges working under factory manager. Each in charge is assisted by 4 personnel who gives instruction or orders to workers in the factory. Each foreman supervisor is assigned responsibilities among to his or her capabilities. Here we have some examples of in chargeship. The second point is standardization and simplification of a work. Taylor, a great supporter of standardization, has mentioned in his scientific principle, science not thumb rule, that business should analyze different methods of production used in the past to select the best practices and refine them to develop standard methods to be followed throughout the organization. Taylor developed work study techniques to a standardized method of work. Standardization refers to setting standards for each business activity. It can be a process, raw material, time, product, machinery, methods or working conditions. Here we have some objectives of standardizations: to produce products of fixed type, sizes and characteristics, to establish interchangeability of manufactured parts and products, to establish standards of excellence and quality in material, to establish standards of performance of man and machines. Now, simplification aims to eliminate superfluous varieties, sizes, dimensions and diversity of products. It leads to optimum utilization of resources, increased production, lower labor and overhead cost and lesser stock levels. Simplification of work means simplifying work by eliminating needles, varieties, sizes, dimension of etc. of products produced to utilize resources optimally and reduce labor and overhead cost. Now we have work study techniques. The first point of work study techniques is method study. Method study is followed to find the best possible way of doing a particular job. It involves establishing a method to be followed to complete a particular job. The method study decides the sequence of operations, placing of human and physical resources like machine, raw material, etc. The production techniques devised using method study aim to minimize the cost of production and maximize efficiency, quality and customer satisfaction. Taylor has devised the concept of assembly line by using method study. Now, what is assembly line? Assembly line is a process followed in manufacturing units where each worker is assigned a specific task which she repeats, and then the process moves to the next worker who again does a specific task. This is repeated until the finished product is made. It is used for mass production. Assembly line may use humans or robotic workers for performing the same type of work repeatedly. Process charts, operation research, batch production, etc. are the few examples of production techniques based on method study. Now, the second study of work study technique is motion study. Motion study refers to the study of movements like lifting, putting objects, sitting and changing position, etc., which are undertaken while doing a typical job. Motion study designs the best method to perform repeated jobs. Through motion study, unnecessary movements are eliminated and tasks can be completed in minimum time with greater efficiency. There are three types of motion studies: productive motion, incidental motion and unproductive motion. Taylor and his associate uses stopwatches, various symbols and colors to identify different motions. They designed suitable equipment to eliminate unproductive motions and develop tools to educate the trained workers. Our third point of work study technique is time study. Time study determines the standard time taken to perform a well-defined job. To determine the standard time, time measuring devices like stopwatches are used to measure time taken to perform a repeated activity. It requires to measure time for each element of activity. The standard time is determined using average of several readings taken to perform the same activity. The method of time study depends on volume and frequency of the task, the cycle time of the operation and time measurement costs. The objective of time study is to determine the number of workers to be employed, frame suitable incentive schemes and determine labor cost. The fourth point of work study technique is fatigue study. Fatigue study considers the fact that an individual is bound to get tired physically and mentally while working for a long period of time. Therefore, she needs rest at regular interval of time. The short breaks while working help to regain stamina to work with same energy, leading to increased productivity. Fatigue study seeks to determine the amount and frequency of rest intervals required while completing a task. Fatigue study suggests that long working hours, unsuitable work, lack of cooperation among workers, bad working conditions, etc. cause fatigue among workers. For effectiveness of fatigue study, all the hindrances to work must be removed. Now come on differential piece-wage system. Taylor advocated the differential between efficient and inefficient workers. He suggested that once the business follows work study techniques to determine the standard time and other standard parameters, it becomes easy to classify the efficient and inefficient workers. He proposed that to achieve maximum productivity of workers, it is important that efficiency is recognized in terms of appreciation and rewards. To achieve this, Taylor introduced differential rate of wage payment for those who perform above standard and for those who perform below standard.